Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk, heading into week 15, and this is our 200th episode. So we got this nice expensive bottle of champagne, but I'm gonna be celebrating alone because Mr. Nameco got hurt playing laser tag. That's right, a grown man playing laser tag, and he hurt himself. So he potentially broke his ankle, so it's just me this week. So I'm enjoying this champagne all by myself. Here's a little for you though, Brent. Don't want to forget about you. But before we get into the tips and advice for this week, quick shout out to Doug out in Massachusetts, our weekly pick'em winner. Brent's already been in touch with you. Your shirt will be in the mail shortly. Also, don't forget about our bowl pick'em. You got 1 day left. The games start on Saturday. Go ahead and get signed up. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, one piece of interesting thing going on in Fantasyland this week, and that's Joe Webb, the potential starting quarterback for Minnesota. Here's what's interesting about him. He has wide receiver eligibility in most leagues. So it is a tough matchup against Chicago, but Webb is, he's a rookie this year. He has some wheels. He can run with the ball. He could be a sneaky play and could be worth a gamble, maybe better than one of the wide receivers you're thinking about starting. We say go ahead and pick him up, see how things happen. If he ends up looking like he's going to be the starter, maybe you make a swap. All right, let's get into those forum questions. It's all on me this week. First one comes from CJ Porto. Wants to know which running back to start. Hightower at Carolina, McCoy at the Giants, or Blunt versus Detroit. 46% on the homepage are going with Hightower. I'm actually going to have to agree with this one with the community. I'm throwing Blunt out because he's just been too inconsistent. So I just don't think he's a safe play this week, although I do like him in some situations. McCoy at the Giants, a little bit scary. I mean, Hightower got a great matchup coming off of a monster game last week. I say ride him out and see if he can make it 2 weeks in a row. Next one comes from Cuckoo23. We got LeGarrette Blount again versus Detroit. BenJarvus Green-Ellis versus Green Bay. Jacobs versus the Eagles. And Benson versus Cleveland. This one's tough. 44% of the community actually is saying Blount right now. I'm going to have to disagree. I'm actually between BenJarvus Green-Ellis and Cedric Benson on this one. I think both those guys have similar upsides this week. And I'm actually giving the very, very slight edge to Cedric Benson going up against Cleveland. He's historically been pretty good against Cleveland, and against decent matchups this year. Benson's been pretty good, been able to find the end zone as of late. I actually give this very slight edge to Cedric. All right, next one comes from the Playmaker. Got some wide receivers here. Kenny Britt versus Houston. Steve Johnson at Miami, or Brandon Lloyd at Oakland. Denver's passing game has just been terrible lately. I'm throwing Lloyd out. Steve Johnson, last few weeks, has not been himself. I'm going Kenny Britt against Houston. 92% of the community is going with Kenny Britt. He's got that great matchup against the Texans secondary. Kenny Britt seems to be healthy. I say take a gamble on him. Looks like he's going to start next to Nate Washington. All right, let's get into those studs, and sleepers. We'll start with mine, and my stud is going to be Andre Johnson going up against Tennessee in that rematch versus Finnegan. I think Andre is going to be very focused this week and going to make it a point to throw it in Finnegan's face and have a big game. My dud, Brandon Marshall against Buffalo. Buffalo actually has a decent pass D. It's the run D that's terrible. Look for Marshall to have another subpar game. And my sleeper's John Kitna versus the Redskins. Kitna's been pretty solid lately, and with Aaron Rodgers maybe out and Ben Roethlisberger with a tough matchup, you might want to take a look at your quarterback and see if Kitna's a better play. All right, let's move into Brent's picks. His stud, Darren McFadden versus Denver's terrible run D. McFadden should have a field day. His dud is Mendenhall. Like we were saying, Pittsburgh has a tough matchup against the Jets. Mendenhall should have a hard time moving the ball. Doesn't like Mendenhall this week. And his sleeper, Ronnie Brown versus the Bills. Like we were saying, the Bills have a terrible run D. If they're smart, they're going to try to get Ricky Williams and Ronnie Brown going. All right, let's move into Mike's picks. His stud, Noshawn Moreno versus Oakland. Moreno's been on fire lately. Take a look at his numbers. He's been very consistent. He should be able to keep that going this week. And his dud is Sidney Rice versus Chicago. We were talking earlier about Webb being the potential quarterback for Minnesota. We're just not sure how well Webb's going to get the ball moving through the air. So Rice, bit of a scary play this week. And his sleeper, Tashard Choice against Washington's terrible defense. Choice should be able to get something going and maybe even find the end zone this week. So that's it for this week's show. Don't forget about that bowl pick'em. And Brent will probably be back with me later next week if we can keep him out of the laser tag. I'm going to be giving him hell for that for a long time. But that's it for this week's show. Good luck. Hopefully you can make it to the finals.